is what the templates look like. So you're gonna have one that has one of the tag envelopes, and then some of this, I kind of just added a pattern to it, but this is so that you can add a pattern to your envelope flap and your envelope itself and still have a grungy sort of border. So you would cut this out and use this as a template, not, you wouldn't use it for your actual project, but you can if you want to, and I just made it pretty just for fun. I use a pattern from our Never Grow Up paper line, which is what I'm going to be using on the project today. So you'll have a set of light envelope tags, and you can also get the dark envelope tags if you want. They're a little bit darker than the manila ones, and those are distressed as well. And in the kit, in the manila envelope kit, you will have something that looks like this. You're going to go ahead and cut those out, and you're going to score along all of these dark lines, and then you're going to do an accordion fold on these two pieces. So you can see there's a nice guide for some score lines. So cut these two out and score those. If you think you're going to make a really big box with a ton of tags in it, then I would print out more than one and glue them together to make a bigger accordion piece. But this is enough to make a 6-pocket box. So I'm going to go ahead and cut those out, and you can go ahead and cut your envelope tags out as well, and you'll see that on the flaps here that are going to be folded in, those aren't going to show, so you don't have to cut those perfectly. So you can see mine are kind of cut a little bit rigid, because those are never going to show. You're going to fold them in, and you're going to fold this over, and you're going to end up with something like this. So make it easier on yourself, and don't worry about cutting right on the line on the flaps. Just make sure that you cut these areas really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and get all of that ready, and then I'll be back on and we'll start. Alright, so when you're gluing your tag pockets together, you want to make sure, oh, I gotta open my glue here, that you're folding all of your flaps into the envelope, not on the outside. So you don't want to do this. You don't want to glue them on the outside like that. You want to glue them on the inside so that they look seamless and they don't show. And I love using Scotch quick dry adhesive. You can use a dry tape if you want to for this. This glue is amazing. It works so fast. So I just use this. So I'm just adding, it's a new bottle, come on now. All right, so I'm just adding a little bit into a thin coat, and then I fold over just like this. And it should tack pretty quickly, so you won't have to hold it down for too long. I am using, I printed my files onto manila cardstock. I love the way it feels, and it has that nice creamy color, so it's really nice. Now you can go ahead and ink your edges if you want to, or you could leave it just like this. I'm gonna go ahead and make the rest of mine, and then we'll start putting the outer box. Real quick, just wanted to show you another easy way to score your flaps. What you do is you start off with a piece like this, you fold it in half. You don't have to score that line because it should fold perfectly, and then you go ahead and use that fold to make your next score marks. And this will just allow you to make your score lines a lot faster instead of getting the roller out. And then see, you just fold all of your flaps in. So super quick, easy way to get that job done. So I've gone ahead and I've used this template to cut out some pattern paper from our Never Grow Up line that we just released at CHA Winter. And I cut out 2 of these, 1 of these, and then what I did was I just cut out the little dip so that, you know, there's a little pull there. But your template will have that cut out for you already, so don't worry about that. So I glued that on, I used the quick dry again. And then now I want to show you what to do with these holes. So I do one side at a time, so see the back side doesn't have a hole yet. I glued this side down and then I used the existing hole that was there when I originally put the envelopes together as my guide to punch it out. And then I put a hole enforcer on it just to give it that extra little touch. So now I just punch the back side. And here's a trick. Take your hole enforcers and ink them before you put them on. So like I do a few pages and I have them pre-inked in case I ever use them for anything else, because I do use these quite a bit. And then you're just going to stick that right over the hole. So now you have a nice little hole enforcer there. And then now we're going to do our closure. We're going to do a string closure. And for this, you can use, the templates come with some little closure pieces already on there, but I just make my own instead of cutting those out because I don't have a punch that's that size. So I just use a 3/4 inch punch, and I take some ink. I just ink up an area that I'm going to be punching out of, just like this. And it's okay if it's not really consistent because it's meant to be a little grungy anyway. Oh, I didn't go close enough to the edge. There we go. And you're just going to punch out 2 of those, just like that. And then I'm just going to eyeball it to try to find the center here of my little circles. I'm just going to make a little hole mark. And then I'm going to do the same thing with my envelope. Now, if you're not putting pattern paper on your envelope, you'll notice the printout does have a guide where you can make your holes. But I'm not going to use it because I already put the pattern paper down. So I'm just going to eyeball it here. So 1 right there, and I'm thinking 1 right about there. And then I've got some brads. So I'm going to use these guys. I'm going to use the cream ones. These are really, really tiny ones. They're tiny brads, but they've got really long prongs on them, so they work out pretty good. Yep, and then I'm just going to stick my brad right in the middle, just like that. And on the top of my flap there. Mine are a little crooked, but that's okay. Alright, and then same thing for here. So you'll notice that after you've put your pattern paper on these envelopes, they become really nice and thick and sturdy. Alright, so see I've got my 2 closure pieces there. And then I'm going to take some twine, some baker's twine from Meyer Road, and tie my string to my brad. You just slip it right under and tie it on there. And then we'll cut off the excess right up against that circle. And I'm going to press it down one more time to make sure it's closed nice and tight. And then these will get swiveled on there like this and give it a little snip. So pretty cool, pretty easy. So I'm going to go ahead and make the rest of my envelopes using the rest of the Never Grow Up pattern paper, and then I'll be right back and we'll start on the box. Alright, so the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take out your insert templates. These are going to be your dividers. So, and you're also going to need your side pieces of your box, which is the accordion part that you did. And you can ink these if you want to, but they're kind of already distressed, so you don't really need to. So you can print 2 of these out and cut these out, or you can just cut it out of any pattern paper. The measurements I'm using are 3 1/4 by 4, which is just a teensy bit taller, but that's okay. So 3 1/4 by 4 is what you're going to use, 3 1/4 inches wide, 4 inches tall, and you're going to need 6 of those. So I used the Never Grow Up line again for mine. And you're gonna take your pieces here. Now, when I hold them up this way, you can see they're gonna end up going like this. So you're gonna skip the first mountain on each, okay? So skip that first mountain right here, and you're going to put a glue line right on this edge here. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some glue down on there. And you wanna use wet glue for this because if you use a dry adhesive, it's gonna end up being sticky. And then you're gonna take one of your cards and you're going to stick it down. And you'll see that my cards are a little bit taller because I didn't do the exact measurement. If you want them to be flush with these, and I'm kind of thinking that I actually do want mine to be flush, so I'm gonna trim this one down and trim the rest. Mine down by about 1/8 of an inch. And then I'm just gonna take this one and I'm just going to trim it a little bit with my scissors since I already glued it down. All right, so you gotta hold it down for a little while, but you can kind of see how I'm doing this. See how it's glued on there? Hopefully the camera will show you. Okay, and then you're gonna go ahead and move on to the next one. You're only gonna do the front side of the mountains for these. Doesn't take a lot of glue, but make sure you cover the whole side. And I'm going to put my next card in. And just make sure you hold it there for a little while. So I'm doing one accordion side at a time. Doing the next one now. I love these camellias on this pattern. I love flowers. If you guys haven't noticed from my lines, I definitely love floral patterns. All right, and you just keep going. And 2 more. Just like that. All right, so you should have something that looks like this. I'm gonna hold it up for you really quick so you can kind of see. All right, and then I have an extra mountain because I'm only doing 6 tags, but you can do 7 tags. You can do as many tags if you want. If you think you're gonna do a really big box, what you could do is you could print out 4 of these and glue these together like this to make an even bigger box. You just have to change your measurements on your chipboard that we're gonna do next. But I have an extra pocket on this, so I'm gonna go ahead and actually I might just leave it as an extra pocket here. So once you glue this side on, you'll see that your tags are gonna go in just like this. So there's plenty of room for all of your tags. And that one's gonna go right there. So I should probably actually cut one more 3 1/4 by 4. All right, so once you've got that glued together, you'll have something that looks like this. And it looks a little funky at first, but don't worry. What you're gonna do is you're gonna lay it on its back and you're just gonna smash the whole thing down. And what this is gonna do is it's going to reinforce all of your scores and kind of make this fit to itself, because it's sometimes your measurements might be slightly off, or you know, your paper might be some might end up being bigger. So see, now they look a little bit more uniform. So that's what you're gonna do. You're gonna smash down just like this. Okay, now what you wanna do is you're gonna wanna put all of your tags in their pockets, because this is the part where we are going to have to do a little bit of measuring. So slip all of your tags in there, because when we make our outside box, we wanna make sure that we're doing the right measurements on our pieces. all of my tags in, and I'm going to have a 7th tag in there eventually, so I'll probably just, you know, kind of do this kind of thing, skip one. So I gotta make a 7th tag. All right, so once you've done that, you're gonna wanna measure this piece here. So I'll show you with my roller what my measurements are gonna end up being. And everyone's is gonna be different because it just depends on how you glue it together. So you really wanna make sure that you measure this part. So what I'm measuring is basically this whole piece, and it looks like it's about 3 inches by 3 1/4 inches. So 3 inches by 3 1/4 inches. I'm gonna need to cut a piece of chipboard that size. And I actually already have some of my chip pieces cut. So here are my other chip pieces. This is gonna end up being the flap on the box. And then these are the front and the back sides. So actually your front side you're gonna cut smaller. I totally forgot about that. But these measure 3 by 5, and this one is, I wanna say, let me measure it again. I know it's 3 by 2. This piece measures 3 by 2, and I've got double-sided tape on mine. So if you can kind of imagine, this piece is gonna go here, and this piece is gonna go in the front, but I'm gonna cut it down even shorter to the same height of my accordion side. I went ahead and cut that piece that was gonna end up being the bottom of my box. It goes like this. And you wanna make sure that you cut that the same width as your outer chipboard. So you'll see mine's cut at 3 1/2 by 3 1/4, I believe. I'm just gonna make sure, yeah, 3 1/4 by 3 1/2. So 3 1/2 inches wide, 3 1/4 inches tall, and that piece is gonna go in there like this. So this is how your pieces are gonna lay out for you, just like this. I'll show you really quick sideways one more time. So this one is 3 1/2 by 2, 3 1/2 by 5. Yeah, 3 1/2 by 5, 3 1/2 by 3 1/4. And then my front piece is 3 1/2 by roughly 4 inches. Okay, so go ahead and pick out some pattern paper that you want to be the outside of your box. I'm thinking I kind of wanted to do the peony one, but I already did that one, so I'm gonna pick out a different one here. I think I'm gonna do a purple, this fun purple pattern from the Never Grow Up line, and I'm going to cut it in half. And then I'm going to line it with, I think I'll do that one. Okay, so we are going to cut this in half. You want to make sure that when you cut this piece, you're leaving about 1/2 inch on each side. So if these are 3 1/2, then you want to make sure that you cut this at about 4 1/2. So I'm going to cut 2 strips out. I want to cut out some chipboard pieces, and they need to be cut in this, sorry guys, they need to be cut in this size, in this order. So you want to lay them out in this order. So the first one is 3 1/2 by 2. So they're all 3 1/2 inches wide, so 3 1/2 inches this way. So 3 1/2 by 2, 3 1/2 by 3 1/2, 3 1/2 by 5, 3 1/2 by 3 1/2, and then 3 1/2 by 4. So I'll let you look at that for a bit, get a little closer so you can kind of see better. So those are your measurements. And then I went ahead and I put some double-sided tape on the back. And then you're gonna need some pattern paper, whatever pattern you want the outside of your box to be. You're gonna need one sheet, one 12 by 12 sheet, and you're gonna get 2 pieces that measure 4 1/2 inches wide, okay? 4 1/2 inches wide by 12 inches. And then you're gonna flip that over. You want the pattern on the outside. This is some my Mind's Eye paper that I had that I really liked. And I'm just gonna use this as sort of a border because I'm gonna cut out some other patterns from the Never Grow Up line to go over the top. Okay, so first thing you need to do is you're gonna bump up those 2 pattern papers right next to each other. I wanna make sure that my stripes are, they're pretty close. It'll work. We'll put some lace trim on that back. So bump those 2 pieces up next to each other like this. And then you're gonna make sure that that seam where you bumped the 2 papers up goes on your 3 1/2 by 5 piece right about there. So you wanna make sure you leave about 1/2 inch on this end of space of paper, and then you'll notice on the outside it borders the chipboard pieces by 1/2 inch, and then you're going to cut off this excess after we glue this down. So I've got those bumped up. I'm going to go ahead and peel off my adhesive backing, or the contact paper on this tape. Give me just a minute here, it's kind of hard to peel up. Alright, so there's one, and this is just regular, you know, score tape. You guys, I'm sure you guys use this too. And you can use wet glue for this too. Just make sure that if you are using wet glue that you cover the entire piece of chipboard. You can't have any blank spots on the from the wet glue, otherwise your paper will end up warping in the dry spots. Okay, so I've got that all peeled up. Now the spacing on your chipboard pieces is going to be about 1/4 inch. So you can see I put the tape over it and they're spaced out about 1/4 inch. Actually, mine are a little less than 1/4 inch, but as long as you're at least 1/4 inch, or at most, I should say 1/4 inch, you're good on that chipboard spacing. Okay, so I'm gonna make sure, I'm gonna be really careful, make sure I'm about 1/2 inch from the end. Oops, see I slid around a little bit there. There we go. All right, and press down. Okay, and then you're going to cut off this excess end piece. You're going to leave about 1/2 inch. And then you're going to miter your corners about 1/8 inch from the corner of the chipboard. So you can see I've got a little bit of a space there. You're going to do that on all of your corners. All right, put those scraps aside, and then you're going to go ahead and put some adhesive on the outside edges, and I'm going to use the score tape again. It's fast and easy, and it works perfect for projects like this. So I tend to use it a lot. Didn't press down right there, so I'm going to make sure it's down pretty good. Just make sure you get all the sides. A little excess on this piece here. So all 4 sides, and then we'll use a wet glue in the middle. And one more little piece. Hopefully this one won't be a pain. It's a love-hate relationship with this stuff. Come on now. Of course, this last piece has to be stubborn. And it's probably due because I have shellac on my nails and my nails are thicker than they normally are. Okay, so once you've done that, you're going to go ahead and you're going to score right along the chipboard. You're going to score that paper. And you're going to fold those edges up nice and tight, and then burnish them down onto the adhesive, just like that. And you're going to do that on all 4 sides. So I'm going to go ahead and do that on all 4 sides. Okay, so now we have all 4 sides folded on top, and now you're going to line this. And for your liner, you're going to need 2 pieces of paper that you get from a 12 by 12. One measures 3 1/4 inches wide by 12, and the other one is 3 1/4 inches wide by 2 1/2. Okay, so we are going to take that Scotch glue, and this is the pattern that, actually I might use this pattern on, no, I'm going to use this pattern on the inside. So these green feathers, and you're going to take some wet glue. You're going to put it right near the edge. Just a thin line near the edge because you don't want it to seep out and get all messy. Just like that. And then get the inside really good. Just making sure I've got some close squiggles. And then you're going to put your biggest piece on the side that is 2.5 inches. Okay, and slide on there. Make sure you've got an even amount of space on both sides. Just like that. Oh, I must have gotten a little too confused in my measuring there, sorry. That was for the last piece I did. So I need one more piece that's 6 inches by 3 1/4. Got my 6 inches by 3 1/4 piece, and I'm gonna glue it down right here. This was just a scrap piece I had laying around, so it's a little off, but that's okay because this part's not gonna show. All right, so now you wanna let that dry. And with a Scotch quick dry, I usually just let it dry for about a minute or two. It doesn't take very, very long at all to tack. In fact, you could probably get away with moving forward right now. Actually, I think I am going to. So once you've glued that down, just start to gently fold so you can see where your chipboard pieces are broken up. And don't fold it all the way. So fold it gently so you can see where they're at, and then take your bone fold and push the paper in so that the paper doesn't push out the wrong way. Okay, so just like this. So you get some nice creases in there. All right, and so this is going to end up being your tag box, and be really gentle with it. You don't want the folds to tear before they're scored well. Okay, so that's going to be the box, and then now we're just going to glue our insides in there. So take your tags out of your inside piece here, and you're going to add glue to this flap here and this flap here. It's getting dark already, sorry guys. Got to get our studio lighting back in. Okay, so this piece is going to get glued right here. So you're going to bend this up. You'll see this is the side of the little fold, and then there's this piece down here at the bottom. Turn it sideways so you can kind of see. You're going to set this in there, and you're going to center it, and this should glue into the green area. So once you've set it in there, you're going to smash it down. You could kind of slide it around one last time, and you're just going to hold it into place like this. Okay, so see where I'm at? So you want to hold it down, just like that, until it tacks. And it should be pretty tacked on there. All right, so, and then the last step is you're going to add glue to this piece here. Make sure you get the whole piece covered. You don't want it to seep out, so don't go overboard with the glue. I just use the tip of the glue as kind of like a pen to draw. All right, and then you're going to fold this up, and then you're going to stretch it all the way to the front of your box. Okay, and then just turn it this way and kind of see, make sure it's lined up on both sides. You could slide it around. My glue's kind of already tapped a little bit, so that's where it's going to end up being. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and fold this one flap so that when you open your box, you can open it this way and that way. All right, so there is your cute little box, and all of your little tags will slip right on in there, and you can put your tags in this way. I thought they would be kind of cute upside down where the little tag backing is showing, but you could put them in there any way you like. So I'll stick these on in there so you can kind of see how it ends up looking. And then I'll cut one more tag out and put it in the very back pocket there. So there is the inside of the box. Pretty fun, right? And then this closes over onto the front. Now for the front piece, I'm going to go ahead and measure this out, and I'm going to cut little pieces to fit on each second each section that are about a 1/2 inch smaller. So if I do this front piece, I'm gonna want my piece to be 3 by 3.5. Okay, so I'm gonna cut out a different pattern and I'm gonna cover the outside of the box, and then I'm gonna do a swivel closure, and then I'll be back to show you the finished product. Alrighty, I went ahead and cut out all of my pieces to cover the box, and I'll give you those measurements as I go here. So this first piece I'm going to glue on is going to go on the front flap, so it's going to go right there. And this piece measures 3 by 1.5. I'm going to glue that guy on. I went ahead and inked all my edges on the box and on these little pieces as well. I kind of don't like this brown color that I picked to ink my edges, but it's kind of too late now, so I'm just gonna have to deal with it. Next time I'll use like a really soft tea creamy color. All right, so that goes on the flap. The next piece is going to be 3 by 3. That goes on the top. And you're gonna cut 2 of those out because the top matches the bottom piece. So 3, this is the 3 by 3 piece, goes right on the top. A little crooked there. There we go. And the next piece is going to be 3 by 4.5, and that one's going to go on the back. Cover up that seam. This would make a really cute seed box too for all your flower seeds this spring. That would be a really cute gift, or even a recipe box or something. All right, so that piece is gonna go on the back. Oops, there we go. And slide it a little bit more. Okay, and then the next piece is another 3 by 3 piece that goes on the bottom. Come on, glue. Flip this baby over and make that bottom pretty. All right, so glue that down, and then the last side is your front side. And glue that puppy down right there. All right, oops. That one wasn't ready to be let go just yet. All right, so there is your box, and I'm gonna go ahead and make a little closure, and how I'm gonna do that is I'm gonna do it the same way I did on these envelopes with the little circles and the brads. And I'm just gonna poke a hole right there, or actually more like right about there, and then right about there, and make a closure, and then I'm gonna doll this up a bit. So stay tuned for pictures of the finished product, and I hope you guys like it. The link to this download or printable is in the description of this video on our website, and there's a few different ones like I showed you in the beginning. There's the darker envelope pack, and then there's the light manila envelope pack. So the dark envelope pack is an add-on to the kit, and there's some other cute little envelopes. And stay tuned because we have some more really fun projects coming this week that we want to share. So you can go to our blog. It's marionsmithdesigns.blogspot.com, and I used the Never Grow Up paper that we released this January CHA, and it's brand new. And maybe later in the week we'll use our other new line, which is called Motley. So stay tuned for that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you liked the